The political question is whether this Trump fatigue, which is documented and joked about, could impact turnout. It's a legitimate question where even reporters are asking Trump rally-goers, why are you leaving early? The Washington Post asked several as a long rally basically stretched their plans, and they cited different needs, like they had to go to take care of a pet, see a family member. One attendee said their phone died. Some said sound quality. Most of these sound like excuses rather than what might be the real answer. People with pets, just to take them at their word, know that they left their pet at home when they go out to a Trump rally or wherever they go. And if your phone died while you were listening to a great speech, you might just finish watching, then go back and charge your phone in the car. These references I'm making are to what actual MAGA fans told this reporter were their reasons for leaving early. If there are deeper reasons the MAGA people left that rally, where the reporter was and the other ones, maybe they don't want to share them with the media or post them online. But one thing we do know about most of the people going to a Trump rally is they are either Trump fans or Trump curious. They made an effort to go wait and see him. So if they're turning out or have some pause, well, what about all the other less Trumpified Republicans? That's a big question. It's one the Harris campaign actually thinks could be key to victory, that there is an echo between people who are interested enough in Trump to go to a rally, but react to what he actually says now, the Trump of today, not 4 or 8 years ago, that they leave early. A link between that and why top Republicans are breaking with their party to endorse Kamala Harris. Now, this important theme in the campaign right now, which could tip states towards Harris, is this embrace that I'm telling you about, not only by the independents and conservatives, but lifelong staunch Republicans. What voters saw in Wisconsin and many others watched across the nation is so unusual in American life, you'd actually have to do a double take, especially if this happened just a few years ago. Liz Cheney began the Trump era as a leader of the entire Republican House caucus. She backed Trump in 2020. It's not that long ago, but ended that era fighting the insurrection after he lost 2020. Now she's campaigning with Harris, along with her father, Dick Cheney, as other Republicans who work directly for Trump and his whole agenda are breaking with him to back Kamala Harris. This is big. It could impact the outcome of the election. It is a rarity in our current partisan political era. And so right now, tonight, to see how major this is, consider how these partisan, Republican, staunch, conservative hawks have sounded across the bulk of their entire careers.
We are all a little weary of the Clinton-Gore routine. It is time for them to go.
How much damage do you think President Obama has done?
I think it's been devastating. He's strengthened our enemies.
All of his policies are working. It's just that we're not getting any coverage of it because the media doesn't want. They just don't want people to see his success.
Slate magazine described him as one of 10 conservatives that will define the conservative movement.
To never relent on our principles, never relent on why we were sent to Washington, D.C.
McChrystal says, are you asking about Vice President Biden? Who's that? His aide goes on to say, Biden? Did you say bite me?
Did you really tell Senator Leahy bleep yourself?
I did.
You think he's the worst president ever?
Well, he's certainly the worst in my lifetime.
That's just a small sampling. They sounded like that most of the time, over and over, about all those political issues. Now these hardline conservatives, even former members of the Trump administration who served through 2020, from its final years, look at this phalanx endorsing Kamala Harris. And the Cheneys are telling their supporters and allies that backing Kamala Harris is specifically, intentionally, and substantively bigger than politics, bigger than a party. You have to remember that because we talk so much about policies that sometimes we forget there are things that are bigger than policies, as important as they are. And they're saying this is an urgent constitutional cause.
President Harris will be able to unite this nation.
Liz Cheney really is a leader who puts country above party and above self.
As a conservative, as a patriot, as a mother, as someone who reveres our Constitution, I am honored to join her in this urgent cause.
No matter your political party, there is a place for you with us and in this campaign.
A welcoming and outreach, bipartisan message there from Harris. This is out on the trail, of course. Trump's own aides have supplied some of the most damning testimony against him year after year, scandal after scandal from January 6th, where some are going back and saying that was their breaking point. Trump Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews is in that camp, and we just heard her very clearly, very thoughtfully state her case against Trump and for Kamala Harris on Wednesday in a discussion with several Trump vets right here on The Beat.
I don't agree with Kamala Harris on most things, but at the end of the day, you know what we can agree on? That we respect the Constitution, that I believe she is someone who will uphold it. And Donald Trump has shown us that he won't. He is the first president in our nation's history to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. I don't want to put someone like that back in power in the Oval Office because I don't think he deserves to step foot anywhere near it.
That is worth hearing. That's why we had her on, to hear it. That's what Matthews took from her front row seat, which turned her into a witness to a now charged, and in some cases convicted, election plot and sedition. Another star witness, all the way back to Trump's first impeachment, Ambassador Sondland, also publicly said January 6th was his line, publicly breaking with Trump. But unlike what I've just been reporting for you, unlike Cheney or Matthews, as Trump got power and won the nomination, Sondland retracted. He came back to MAGA. Now, when we assembled this panel earlier this week, we deliberately invited one key witness who stayed loyal to Trump throughout, Peter Navarro, who you see there. The other, now backing Harris, whom I just mentioned, Matthews. And we included Sondland as an aide who went from backing Trump to breaking with him to now backing him again. It's a lot of explaining to do, a zigzag zig, a kind of double J.D. Vance. So we asked why he made that journey and if he could logically explain it as anything other than for reasons of power.
I was completely in, even with all of the foibles that everyone has already identified, and I don't need to go through them again, until January 6th. It was a no for me after that.
I don't stand by it, and I'll tell you why.
Ambassador, I'll let you finish, but this is so striking. You said it was a no for me after that, after January 6th.
I did.
And here we are right now.
I did.
And you're saying it's a yes for you.
It is a yes for me. It is an absolute yes for me. Did he always make the right decisions? No, but no one does.
So, you can hear it yourself. Diverging views, even among Trump vets turned critics, about whether to even remain critics or support Harris. Now, that interview has been driving headlines this week, especially focusing on Sondland's answer and turn. These are just some of the outlets that picked it up. And it's partly, probably, because it is simply newsworthy and interesting, but also perhaps because political observers see in Sondland a pattern across the wider Republican Party. Bill Barr broke with Trump over Jan 6. He warned of all the dangers, but is now backing Trump. And many other Trump vets have much larger challenges than deciding who to endorse right now. Look at the consequences of just working for him. A higher rate than any other first-term administration of what you see on your screen. Disbarment, criminal targets, indictments, convictions. These crimes were all on behalf of Donald Trump. Many of them, as you see, charged. Steve Bannon in prison right now. And broadening out, Trump's campaigns and businesses have been exposed over the years because of this same factor I'm telling you about. The actual testimony and witness statements by people who worked for him. You can see the people convicted and many others who helped lead to these convictions by saying what they saw Trump and his allies and his organizations and his enterprises do. This matters, and if it matters any time, let me tell you something. October, a month out, it matters right now. So where are we going? You say, okay, Ari, you walked through all this. What are we talking about? The whole point of principle is that it operates on a higher plane than all the other typical policy differences or matters of style or even what you need in any organization, any political situation, which is some compromise. Some principles cannot be compromised. Democracy has always been number one on that list of principles. I'm telling you about historical facts and constitutional law. I'm not adding any extra speculation or opinion. That is the principle. That is why from the president on down to every sworn federal official, the law requires that you take that oath. It is not to a party, let alone your personal interest. It is an oath. It is not symbolic, it is literal. You can be impeached, removed, and punished for betraying that oath. And it's not even an oath to the office, say, in Obama's case, as you see on your screen, to the presidency. It is to the constitutional democracy itself. We called our new interview special Divided Oath for that reason. We may host further installments on this before Election Day, because democracy and these principles and going to the source to get real testimonial eyewitness information is one of the most important things this election cycle. And that's why this election is still different. For the people who know Trump best, and many of whom have the worst things to say about him, and for those who lived a life of conservative values and are now putting everything on the line in a public rarity to back Vice President Harris as an urgent patriotic cause. Those are her words, Ms. Cheney, not mine. A patriotic, urgent constitutional cause.